Have you ever wondered why you are the person you are today? Going from your beliefs, your values, your morals, your actions, your habits, and everything else that makes who you are today. I've always asked myself that question in the last few years, especially lately as I discover myself in the first stages of adulthood. What I find funny is that people expect you to know everything about life as soon as you reach 18 years old, which is like the threshold age where you are officially an adult. But I think that's not true at all. At 18, I think you're just an older child. You still have the brain of a child who is influenced by the education system and its rules, and you're still not able to decide for yourself really and be able to discover life in itself, its concepts, and the struggles that come with it. You're basically just starting out to live life, your real life. My point is that our current beliefs are wrong in this generation. Because when you think about it, everything that you think it's true, everything that you think you know how it works, every concept in your mind is basically based on what you see out on the outside. So basically, it's based on what the education system told you, based on what you see online nowadays, based on what your parents told you. But besides, like, the presence of the internet, which didn't exist before, everything that you know about life comes from um, a source, comes from someone who lived in a previous generation where there was no internet, so there was no reliable source of information available at all times. And I think that's the problem here. The problem here is that we are still living, um, we're still going through the education system, like it's still like obligated, obligatory. It's still like a thing that you have to do to like get a job. But despite all the technology we have today, that's still the way to go. And I think it's not the right way to live life. Because honestly, the education system doesn't teach you anything about life. It just teaches you how to be a good worker for someone else. That's basically what it does. It forces you, like, for 25 years to have the ability to listen to someone else's orders so that you can do the same for the next 40 years at your job. So that's not a useful skill in life. It doesn't tell you how to develop yourself. It doesn't tell you how to take care of yourself. It doesn't tell you none of that. And I find that really unfortunate. So I think that, like, the way people think of how you need to get a job to you need to go to school, I mean, to get a job and stay in that job, climb the corporate ladder and climb the ranks. I think that mindset is partially true nowadays. Like, you don't have that, because nowadays you don't have to do that. You can just work part-time and do something else on the side, like a side business, or just pursue your passion on the side, or do something that's somehow meaningful to you. And you don't have to force yourself to indulge in this matrix rat race world. that I think doesn't make anyone happy, truly happy, and they're just doing it because it's the unwritten script of the world. Our current beliefs, they have been transmitted to us by external entities such as the education system, so that includes your teachers, everyone around you, the society, and your parents mostly. And it all starts in the family household. So the family household, I would consider it's from when you're born until around 5 years old. Right, that's where you have your first experience in life. So everything you learn basically comes from your parents. So your first beliefs and values of the world and how it functions comes from what your parents believed in, and it may be wrong or right depending on certain things. Um, but since our parents lived in like a different generation that didn't have access to the technology we have today, some of the ideas they have are outdated, and they cannot truly understand the power of internet. So, like, there might be a contradiction here. For example, our parents, they are really keen, and they're really on the idea of the 9 to 5 and the matrix, the idea of going to school, getting a degree, then holding a job for 40 years and being a full-time employee. But I think people of my age now, they see the opportunity we can have on the internet, online. We are able to connect with millions of other people at the same time, just on the internet. So we don't actually need to work that hard in the matrix as a full-time employee. Um, it's better for our health overall to work part-time and then do something on the side, like a side business or some freelance work, or just something that is passionate for us. Um, and working, yeah, so just working on our passion on the side and trying to find a way to make a living out of it too. That way we would feel that our work is more meaningful and that it serves a purpose for the people around us in our community. So these views, these ideas coming from our parents, they are the hardest to get rid of because our parents and our family are the closest people we have. So, and it's really difficult to directly go against your parents, like telling them that you're against this and that idea that they support. So you kind of just have to like change your own idea and like take time to think about how you see the world and not really tell them about that because they won't understand it, because they think that the way that they told you how to do things, that should be the way to do it. That's like the truth or the right thing to do, even though it may be not always the right thing to do. So the way I see this phase of life is like if you don't like the way how your parents are or like how they live, how they are as a person, just everything about them. You don't like the way they live, their lifestyle, their decisions, their values, their beliefs, then you have to do something different. So you need to do something different from them. And most of the time what they did was considered average and is still considered average. So most people do what they do. So you need to find something to do that is unique and that has a meaning to you, and that maybe only you can understand, and others can only appreciate what you do from the outside, but you appreciate it from the inside because it has a meaning for you inside. And that's hard because humans are emotional beings that consistently look for the approval of others, and that's like a primal subconscious feature of us. Like we like to know that others care about us, and we like to know that others like us, that we have the approval of others. And that's the whole point of social media that I will talk about later. Also, everything your parents or your everything your parents tell you is probably outdated. Like more of some more that's more on the technical side. So like any like credible information and stuff, because now we have access to the internet, where the information like is trusted and verified by credible sources. Meanwhile, everything our parents believe and say, it basically comes from mouth to mouth. So it comes from the previous generations. And it's maybe not true. But just because we say it multiple times makes can make it falsely true, and we may believe that it is a true statement. Now we have so much resources and sources of information like books, the websites, online courses. Basically, there's information everywhere, and not everyone is taking advantage of it because of that lack of knowledge and that lack of, oh, I can actually take the time to find things on my own and find out what are the values and the beliefs that are closest to I what I believe in, instead of just absorbing others' information that may not align with our purpose and what we believe in. Kindergarten. So this is the stage where you get your first exposure to strangers, people outside your family circle, and here your values and your beliefs, they don't change that much. But you're starting to learn how to be around other kids, and this is where the adults will notice your personality and how you are. But you're slowly starting to learn more about yourself as a person and how you interact with others, and that's a good thing because that's the first step towards self-discovery. So, for example, you could have been that kid who always talks with others, or who always makes like jokes, or just like bully others in a funny way in kindergarten, or you just create havoc everywhere, or you were that silent kid in kindergarten who just did his own thing while others were playing around. So that's the kindergarten phase of how you are as a person. Primary school. This is where you get your first state in the real education system, and you don't realize it yet, but this is where they're training you to be a good employee, basically. So you have a fixed schedule. You need to come in at this time, get out at this time. You have some break time, dedicated break times. You have a dedicated lunch time, and you need to basically listen to someone else. You need to listen to their orders, and if you don't, you get a penalty. And those concepts can relate to the job world as well, even though you are an adult in the job world. So this is where the system really like programs your mind to become a good worker and to not think for yourself but think for someone else. And here your habits, they reflect your instant gratification, but you don't realize it yet. So you like to play, you don't like to do the work, basically. Like you're a kid, you just want to have fun. And this is the start of the path where you don't have, they don't let you think for yourself, really, you know, because there's always someone watching you, so there's no control over your life, and that's really unfortunate. And I think that this is where the beginning of the average life begins, in the education system. When you're a 8-10-year-old kid, high school, I would say, is just a continuation of the primary school system. So it's basically the same system with just older kid with more maturity, I guess, with more hormones. So you start thinking about life stuff like sex, relationships, and everything, but you still don't really get it. It's like all new for you. But here, like, you can slowly start to realize that the education system, it doesn't teach you like the fundamentals of life. So, for example, you don't learn about money, you don't learn about health, you don't learn about relationships, you don't learn about your purpose, you don't learn about anything about life. You just learn about the theoretical stuff that does not apply to you. So you learn those math formulas that you'll never use in your life, like stuff like that. It triggers me, you know. And here, there's this feeling that you're living two lives. One life where you're at school, you're this puppet, you're putting on a mask, and you're just doing what everyone does because that's the conditioning we have. And this life where you get out of school, you take off your mask, and you're being yourself on the school bus on the ride home, and then you get home, and you just have time really to live life, to do the basic, eat, play around, shower, then you go to sleep, and you repeat that one for 5 days a week. So you still don't have much control over your thoughts, your own life, and your time, but you're starting to get a sense of what the pattern here is. But your brain is still not developed yet to so you realize that there's a problem. Maybe not a problem for everyone, but there's something here that bugs you. And the way people use social media and the internet in general affects how you perceive life. You may not know it, but this is where you start to escape the real world of the education system with instant gratification activities, because you feel like that the real world is like it's unfulfilling. You're wasting your time on useless stuff, and you're gonna indulge on porn, video games, junk food, things that feel good in the moment but that make you worse in the long run. College and university. This is the time where your life either hit or breaks. So in college, this is where I realized that I am the one who is in control of my own life and of my time, and that everything, like my actions, depend on my mindset. And to change my mindset, I needed to learn about the world and the facts, and to based on those facts to have an idea of my vision and the world around me, because everyone has a different vision of the world based on their values and their beliefs and everything that they believe in. So this is where most people tell you that college opens many doors for you, but the true meaning of that is that either you already know where you're headed, or you just you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you're just going through the motions and waiting for the world to come to you, because no one told you how this works, because they just implemented beliefs into you. So you're a little bit lost in life. And depending on your intentions, you either decide to go to uni because you're stuck, or you just want to avoid the pain of the real life while you build yourself, or you just don't give a fuck about like the whole system, and you just want to get out of school as fast as possible and get a job while you build yourself and find out why you're on this planet. So this is where there are two paths to life. Either you decide to do something that you probably don't like for the rest of your life as a job, and you just follow the conventional route, or you're using the job as a temporary solution and as a gateway, whilst you build yourself to build something self-transcending that means something to you, and that you can help other people whilst making a living out of it. So it's the best of both worlds. And for me and for most of you, this is where you realize everything that has been told to you, it manifested into your beliefs and your value, and it may not be you, truly you. And most of those beliefs and those thoughts and those values, they don't align with who you are, your purpose, and that everything around you have just been concepts which have been socially constructed to blind you, to prevent you from like finding out who you are, to find out about yourself. But they instead just have been here to condition you to be able to work for someone else instead. What I'm saying is that you need to find your purpose, and you need to, like, how do we say? You need to take a step back and think about what you really want to do with your life. It doesn't have to be money related. It could be anything, but it has to be that thing where you wake up and you're like, I really want to do this right now. Where you're actually excited to wake up because you have something to work for. It could be volunteering, doing something for others, helping others, creating something that impacts the world and that you think has a true meaning. Anything. It could be anything that has a meaning to you and that only you can understand. Because I feel like most of the things, how most of us live, makes us live a life that's not meaningful to us. And I find that that's unfortunate. That people are mostly living lives that they're not. It's not the life that they expected. And I'm not trashing on the conventional. I'm just saying that now there are many other ways to live a good life. Because now the conventional route is not the universal way in today's modern world. It is one of the ways, but it's not the only way to live a good life. Beforehand, there was no other choice because there was no internet, so it was either you like make something in person, like a physical business, or you just work a regular job. There was no other choice. But now there's like this other world, the online world, that I think has been misused since it has been created, and people have been using the internet but for the wrong reasons. Because beforehand you had no internet, so your interactions were in the real life, and that's a good thing for humans. And everyone had a physical, in real life, vocation activity. So in that sense, the system works great back then because everything was in person. But now, since there's the internet, there's endless and countless possibilities. And nowadays, most interactions are online. But almost everyone still has this physical job or this physical business that they don't like, and everyone is staying inside most of the time. So here there's like two things that repel each other. There's a degree of friction because how we live outside of the job world is mostly online, but then we have this job that we have to go in person. So now people like they don't know how to act on the job anymore, on the job site, because the system doesn't align anymore. There's this internet online world versus the rat race in real life job world. So why not combine both and have a job or a business or something online too? So that way you can use the internet, you can leverage the internet at the maximum. In college and university, the internet is also misused for personal use. So I think that most people, they're just using it for quick fixes for in real life activities, human skills such as sex. So you have porn instead of sex. You have these video games, these communities, Discord servers instead of meeting in real life. Basically, you have anything in any activity in real life, you have a replacement for online that is much more accessible and free for everyone. And this is where it leads to the worst mental health of our history. People are less happy, especially younger adults, and most people are starting to live unfulfilled, meaningless, and directionless lives. But my point is that all of these beliefs and values that we've had since we're born, they make us believe that we care about what we see on the outside. So all this materialistic stuff, this comfortable stuff. And although we live in the most advanced era in terms of the technology, the comfort, and the material aspect, we also live in the worst era in terms of the things that truly matters to us. So like our purpose, our mental health, our social interactions, And I think that comes down to the digital aspect of the media, the internet, and how we use social media, those kind of stuff. What I'm saying is, I'm not against the digital world. I'm just against the way we have been programmed to use them. How we misused the resources available to us on the internet. So with the arrival of internet and the digital world, I think it leaves us with two roads. So either you can live like our previous generations and not use the internet appropriately. So you just like live like how you have been taught to. So you just accept everything you hear, and you just follow the orders, and you just use the internet for instant gratification and for your personal pleasure. And in the end, you're not gonna feel any deep sense of purpose and fulfillment inside when you die. So that's one way of doing it. That's how most of us do it, unfortunately. And there's the other way where you can start to question everything around you, your beliefs, your values, everything that makes you who you are today, and kind of start to build a new identity for yourself. And where you are using the internet at your advantage, using the available resources to you in a good way, and where you can learn about yourself and others, and you're starting to live this really holistic spiritual lifestyle, where you live a life true to yourself and not a life expected from others. And this is where you can find your true core desire of your life. And I did social media and the digital world has brainwashed us into thinking that the digital world is only for pleasure and free time and leisure time, and that to all the life world, to make a living, you need to have a job. But I don't think that's the case at all. You can combine the two, and you can use the internet to your advantage. And the best of both worlds is that you use the internet to make your life, so your living and everything, and you use your real life to enjoy yourself as your leisure time, to socialize, to make friends, to play in your real life instead. So you flip around how you use both worlds, and I can teach you that in my coaching program down below. So you can schedule an appointment, and I will coach you on how you can start a digital detox and start to live a life true to yourself. Yeah. So start to live a life true to yourself, not based on what others believe.